Match 1 underway in our single night elimination tournament. Rudy Garza representing the Renegades of Wrestling. We've talked about this man for several months. Very impressive athletically inside the squared circle. Still getting his reps in, but every time you see Rudy Garza, he gets better and better and better. If only he could do things on his own and not rely on the rest of the Renegades to get him a win. But honestly, we don't see them out here right now in the early goings. You never know what's going to happen to the Renegades. Well, there he is right there. What's going to happen with the Renegades of Wrestling, but we will find out here before the conclusion if we're going to have their presence be felt. Nevertheless, when you talk about the bracketology of this one-night tournament, you got to think about a few things that come into play. We'll talk about them in just a second.
And his opponent from Bryan, Texas, this is Bounty Hunter, Bryan.
What's the name? It's still the same. Bryan Keith up in this thing. Here he is right now making his World Gym Arena return. The Rise to Wrestling Royalty Tournament. You see it right there. The quickest kicks in the South from Greens Point, Texas. BK all day. Now, what I was about to say, when you think about a one-night single elimination tournament, a few factors come into play. One, you want to get real quick wins. Also, something that comes into play is Bryan Keith and Rudy Garza have the ultimate advantage. They are starting out the action. They're the first competitors that we are seeing here this evening on the Reality Wrestling's Rise to Wrestling Royalty Tournament. How that benefits them? They have more recovery time between rounds. Think about it. If you go last in the round, you're not going to get as much rest as the person who goes first. And honestly, you get to scope out all the talent and sit back and strategize and get a game plan. The other thing you need to look at when you are in a tournament such as this, you need to look at quick wins as fast as humanly possible. Bryan Keith says he has the quickest kicks in the South. He needs to exhibit that and get the quickest win of the night in order to get, oh, there you go, some athleticism early on. What is going on here? Some posturing from these two. Bryan Keith, I got to give credit where credit's due. The hair and the beard are looking fresh. We're checking out the shine, checking out the gloss. The lines are defined. The edge up looks tight. Maybe Rudy Garza needs to call his barber. Rudy Garza asking him to back up. Again, some early posturing, a shove. Hissing off the former Reality Wrestling champion. There it goes, 1, 2, 1.5. That's what I talked about with quick wins. Bryan Keith understanding the challenge ahead of him. Understanding what's at stake. Bryan Keith has made a lot of history here in the Reality Wrestling, but the one thing that he has never done, the one thing only one man has ever done, is become wrestling royalty. Can he do it this evening? Rudy Garza has him tied up. Bryan Keith control the left wrist of one of the Renegades and really controlling it. Oh, look at that. Some great wrestling on display from Bryan Keith, shades of Ricky Steamboat. Oh, and a kick to the back of the spine. Rudy Garza having to play that one off. Now, Bryan Keith, uncharacteristically, giving his opponent some time to breathe. I don't think this should be a feeling out process. These two are familiar enough with one another where they need to just go in there and start throwing bows and try to get a quick victory. Test your strength, ill-fated attempt. Oh, and a big chop. Oh, and another one. Oh, forearms, closed fists. Bryan Keith returns with a right forearm of his own. Rudy Garza looking like he's at an ophthalmologist appointment. Oh! Looks like his eyes are all kinds of dilated after taking a couple of shots from BK. Almost desperation right here from one of the Renegades, rolling out to the outside, trying to gain his composure or just retreating from the action at hand. Nevertheless, Rudy Garza slowly but surely making his way back inside the squared circle. Look at that, pulling at the hair of Bryan Keith. Oh! Clubbing blow to the back. Oh! Oh! See the pain on the face of Rudy Garza. Bryan Keith going for a cover. Not even a 1 count. Quick kicks and quick kick outs. But it's a beautiful drop kick, finds its mark. Cover 1 and a kick out. We are several minutes into this contest, and although Bryan Keith currently in the driver's seat, neither man gaining the competitive edge over the other, and you have to think about how much physical exertion is being spent at this point. Rudy Garza catching that right leg. Bryan Keith breaking his grip and then returning the favor. Cover 1, 2, and a kick out. Bryan Keith just walking around the ring. Reversal. Oh! Back elbow. Rudy Garza. Did he find an opening? Oh, look at that. That knocked Bryan Keith's mouthpiece out. And this is turning out to be more of a war than I think either man was really ready for in the early goings of this tournament. Bryan Keith taking deep breaths at this point. See Rudy Garza taking some deep breaths at this point. Swing and a miss with the clothesline. Rudy Garza trying to go for the Hurricanrana. Bryan Keith able to use his inertia against him. Some right hands, and Rudy Garza finds the corner and holding on to that top turnbuckle. Bryan Keith looking for a power bomb. Rudy Garza, beautifully executed drop kick to that quadricep muscle. Oh! And plants his face in the ground. Cover 1, 2, early upset, and a kick out from Bryan Keith. Garza has Bryan Keith back in the corner and almost hulking up to Bryan Keith after that big chop and returning it to Rudy Garza. Oh! We want to thank the nearly 470,000 subscribers to the Reality Wrestling's YouTube channel. You have been the lifeblood of this company, and we want to encourage you to make sure you're sending out those super chats. We are seeing all the messages come through the chat right now. We are going to be answering them here very quickly as the action back in the ring. Neckbreaker cover 1, 2, and a kick out from Bryan Keith at the last moment. Spotting the king of solar screens in the audience. I want to thank you for your sponsoring of the Reality of Wrestling. Another one of the people who have been keeping this show running. Without his support, we could not do it. Rudy Garza, jacking jaws with the Isaac Bouillon. Keep sending in your messages, send in your super chat. Every dollar helps, every penny helps fund the next generation of wrestling superstars. Beautiful snap suplex cover, 1, 2, no, 1, only a 1 there. Only a 1 from Rudy Garza. But this match is fastly approaching the 15-minute time limit that is set out. And how that would work if the time limit is reached. Both men, not both men advancing, but both men will be eliminated for the tournament. A big boot catches Rudy Garza between the eyes. Looking for an Irish whip. Bryan Keith holding onto that top rope. Rudy Garza has Bryan Keith on that apron. What is he thinking? Oh! And a DDT on the apron! A DDT on the apron! The referee begins a count. And this might be smart strategy from Rudy Garza, who said, you know what, I've been able to pin this man. Maybe I can get him counted out with a devastating maneuver like we saw. And you see he's just hanging out as the referee begins his count. Up to 7. Bryan Keith rolling back in. And now, like an attack dog. Cover, 1, 2. Oh, that might be all. Cover, 1, 2, and Bryan Keith, he got a shoulder up. 2 and 15/16 if I've ever seen it before. Hold on now, Rudy, don't get yourself disqualified. Don't get yourself disqualified. Wait a minute, cover, 1, 2, almost. Bryan Keith almost had him. Oh. Side effect, 1, 2, and we got him. No, Rudy Garza gets the shoulder up this time. Incredible battle to start us off on the rise to wrestling royalty. Bryan Keith looking to cowboy up. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is, and the Road Nation firmly behind Bryan Keith. What is he doing here? Lining him up for a buzzsaw kick. Oh, and there it is. Shades of Yoshihiro Tajiri and the rodeo. Cover. 1, 2, 3. Bryan Keith advances. Bryan Keith advances in the tournament. Bryan Keith advances after an incredible display of action. Incredible display of action for Bryan Keith. And Bryan Keith will be facing the winner of Brendan Steen versus Shawn Hendricks. So he will be able to wait and see who his opponent will be, but he is going to need to rest and recover and relax after a nearly time limit draw was on the table. Bryan Keith advances one step closer to becoming wrestling royalty. We appreciate you all for your super chats. They are going to be read by some of the Reality of Wrestling's own roster. Send them in, ask your questions, donate, make your comments. This is the Rise to Wrestling Royalty, and we are just getting started.